Hi everyone, this is Yonal versus Rosanne, played on the 20th of October 2018. Let's get into it. D4, D5, C4, Queen's Gambit, nice, Knight F6, it's okay. E3, I mean it's fine. I kind of like the idea of getting this knight in the middle exposed, and then you can look at stuff like E4 and build a big center, but that's kind of Black's plan with this opening. But I like the direct approach when you're white. E3, it traps in the bishop, so the bishop's not coming out. I mean, is it possible? I mean, let's look at the opening book. You've got, see, it puts a question mark next to E3. Knight F3, Knight C3, and C takes D5. So moves like this is great. Obviously, your knight there is also great. But yeah, so where was I? Let's get into it. So yeah, E3, I think just traps the bishop in. I don't really think white should be playing this way. I think white should instead get the knight out and preserve the idea of trying to get your bishop out to G5 or F4 before playing E3. Otherwise, you just end up with a passive bishop for a very long time. This bishop's just terrible for a long time. Okay, knight C6. Whoa, what is that a thing? That does yeah. I mean, I don't know. Kingside first. Something like E6 is what I'd be looking at. Now, I mean, I know I just said about white not trapping the bishop in, but when you're black, it's a little bit different. When you're black, you kind of have to make a few concessions and be willing to trap your own bishop in. As white has the first move, black often has to just accept the fact that you might end up with a couple of crummy pieces just to keep a foothold in the center. So I like E6. I mean, C6 is another option here, and this probably transposes into a good Slav defense. So quite a few choices there. Knight C6 is, I don't think the knight really wants to be here. I think it would prefer to be on D7 eventually, backing up this knight. And in this case, yeah, just C takes, knight takes. I mean, it's suggesting E4. The engine is, I mean. And, that's just a wasted move, but you actually gain the move back because the knight is on a silly square. So it's really interesting that the engine found that. And I don't know, D5 threatens the knight and you end up building a big center. Okay, let's just continue with the game. So this stuff is not really that important. Bishop F5. I mean, it's not going to decide the game when I say not that important. It's all important, just it's not going to decide the game. So let's have a look. Knight F3, E6. So black has got the bishop outside the pawn chain before closing the pawn chain. So white, I think, has an uncomfortable position trying to work out what to do with this bishop during the game. So at the moment, it just went to D2. Bishop D6. I mean, my first thought was bishop e7, and the reason is with the bishop on d6, black might be able to play c5 and gain a free move or something, or a move like a3, and the idea is to go c5 and gain a free move on the bishop, and then immediately go b4, b5, that sort of thing. It's okay if this pawn is sitting here, because c5 isn't a problem then. Because if you play c5 and this pawn is on c6, the bishop can always drop back along this diagonal. But with a pawn still on c7, it's a bit annoying. And I'm a bit worried about white just gaining a massive pawn storm on the queen side. So yeah, I would recommend bishop e7 here. I think is a safer move. So white took. Okay, that's okay. I really think here a3 is the move I'm looking at. A3 with the idea of playing C5 and then B4 and then starting a big attack. C takes D5, E takes D5, Bishop E2. No, well, where's he going? Oh, he's trying to get in here. It's actually not too bad. My first thought was that was a wasted move. Does it run into Queen A5, Queen A4 check maybe? No, because the knight's defended, isn't it? So yeah, it's actually a pretty good move. I like it. I like it. Does the engine suggest it? No, the engine wants to just castle. But yeah, it's a bit strange because knight b4 looks like a decent move to me. White actually castled here, and then black castled, and a3 was played, and then the knight headed into d3. That my first issue here is the knight and bishop are on the same line. Maybe we can pin the knight to the bishop and just win it. And yeah, that does lose a piece. I think just knight back to c6. Instead of castling back here, could black have played the knight before castle? Could black have played something like bishop in here or something? No, the knight's at risk of getting trapped. Yeah, so maybe knight b4 isn't as strong as I thought. I just saw it coming into here and coming into there, and I thought maybe it'd be a decent piece. But instead, I think I agree with the engine. Just castle. Okay, so a3, knight d3. So the knight's gone in here. White can just win a piece now with queen b1. Did white see it? No, white just took it straight away. And now I really like black's position now. This bishop is an absolute pain. But yeah, white just had queen b1 here, and that's it. This knight's lost. You might have to sack it for a pawn, like knight takes here or something. And after queen takes bishop, the knight comes back out again. Yeah, and you've won a pawn for a piece for a pawn. So white missed that, took it, played rook e1, rook e8. These are all good moves, I think. Knight e2, where's it headed? Yeah, I think that's good enough. Bishop e4, knight g3, knight g4. Was there a problem here? I just saw the computer's analysis after knight g3 say that black is a pawn up, but I can't see how black just wins a pawn. It's just weird engine stuff. Okay, knight g4. So, black's trying to develop a lot of pressure on the king's side with the two bishops and the knight and the queen, ready, trying to find a way to pounce in there as well, and maybe a rook lift as well. So there's actually quite a lot of play, quite a lot of pressure here that black's putting on the king's side, and this bishop is not all that useful. In fact, the bishop moved here now, and yeah, queen f6, good stuff. That's great stuff from Rosanne. I love it. Look at all these pieces pointing at the king's side. You can't help but feel that some sort of tactic is going to pop up pretty soon. So knight e2 was played. Whoa, what? That just loses. And yeah, since knight couldn't move, it's pinned to the f2 pawn. And so after here, black just has a very simple check. There, mate. Or even prettier, mate. Yeah, black missed that. Knight d2, black didn't see it. Black is so determined to try and get the mate on h2. Missed a much simpler mate right here, and she played queen h6. And that just loses a piece. Bah. So like white's last move was a tactic. The idea was move the knight with a discovered attack on this knight. However, it was bad because of the simple pin, and white loses. White missed that, ran the queen over there, and ended up falling for the original discovered attack, which shouldn't have worked. Strange. Okay, the players watching this hopefully will know that they need to start working on their tactics and start looking at things like pins and discovered attacks a bit more. Queen h6, queen takes g4. Okay, and yeah, this is just winning for white now. Let's just race through it. Rookie. Okay, so black is trying to get some pieces into the game. Knight takes e4, d takes e4, queen c7. Okay, so black has got a queen and a rook ready to do some damage to this king. The rook went to g6, trying to line up some very powerful pieces against this king. It should be, it's still easily winning for white, and this queen from up here is actually defending this king's side quite nicely. Let's see how it went. Okay, so queen h3, that's a clever idea. Obviously, the pawn can't take the queen because it's illegal, and the threat is an immediate mate. It pretty much forces g3, but yeah, so rook h6 was now played, and the queen is looking to get its way in here and checkmate. Well, try and set up a checkmate. All you're really going to do is chase this king out to here. But it's worth a try, definitely. And after this check, maybe the rook can swing across here and try and go after this pawn. Bishop b4 was played. That's okay. I mean, the engine wants to just grab this, but let's go. Queen takes h2 check, king f1. And now g6. So at this point, black started thinking about how to use this rook and how to get that over to help attack the king. But notice that there's back row mate possibilities. You know, in particular, right, there's one right now, just the threat of queen check, rook takes, rook there. So she spotted that and decided, okay, I need to create an escape hole for the king. I'm not sure that's the best escape hole to use though. What I would suggest is something like queen h3, so the queen defends c8, and that's check, you see. And after the king moves, then maybe this rook can you know, swing across to here or something and try and put some pressure on there. You know, maybe with the queen jumping into f5 and trying to set up some sort of mating idea on this king. Or you know, there's checking ideas here as well. That would be how I would approach it. G6, unfortunately, the problem is because all your pawns are on white squares, these dark squares, look at this bishop. These dark squares, this bishop's controlling them all. So things end badly, I think. So white played queen there, the rook moved to e8, and then this rook went to c8. And there's no way for black to defend it. It's just, oh, maybe you can, yeah, the queen check. Oh, hang on. Okay, just notice, rook c8's a blunder. Look, queen fork, bang, check, grabs the rook. So right here, black just ends up the exchange up. Check, takes, and then just grabs this. Is that right? And that ends up with about an equal position. Maybe you can take with the queen. And black probably has a very slight advantage here. The problem is white has this connected pass pawn here. And white can just like play bishop here and just block up the entire file and not let these rooks in. Yeah, it actually suggests queen g4 check first to push the king to another square. But yeah, right here, rook c8. My first thought was, oh, great stuff, Yonal. And you know, he swaps the rooks off, gets the queen check, and then does some niftiness in these light dark squares. But then, yeah, closer inspection, the move I was suggesting is they're going to go is just a simple queen fork. So rook c8 was actually a blunder. How should white play this instead? White probably should play queen here, hit the rook and control that diagonal with the queen. And that way you can then go rook down the back, next move. So that would be the way to play this. Just rook c8 straight away. Right idea, but fails, unfortunately, tactically. I didn't pick up on it at first either. But yeah, queen h3. So rook c8, queen takes c8 is what was played, and this is just totally lost. Unfortunately, you've got bishop there, check, king f6, and then you know, you can just take this here, and this is just easily winning for a whole rook up, easy win for white. But there's actually a forced mate here in queen d8, king e6, queen d6 check, king f5. It's a really funny little mate, luring the king. I like this one here, check, king g4, takes the pawn. And you know, where does the king actually go? It's going to end very badly, very quickly. I mean, you just grab the rook now because the king is in the way of the bishop, of the queen defending the rook. So yeah, but I mean, simply just taking the rook is great. You know, queen takes, and this is it's an easy win for white. White just mops up a pawn and gets the king to safety. Oh, whoa, what? Oh, yeah, it's check. And oh, d5. No, that's not the safest way to win this. The best thing to do would probably just be play rook e2. Just defend the f-pawn, get rid of all the checks, and then this queen can work with this pawn up the board, and you can just win, or work with these pawns. This queen, in order to get some checks in, is going to have to go all the way around, and I think it's easy for this queen to stop it. By playing d5 here, you allow your opponent this queen f2 check, which means your king is kind of on the run for a while. Well, it's not on the run, but yeah. Yeah, I guess it's not too bad. I just see a way to defend that pawn, and I figure why not defend it? But yeah, queen g3 would be, you know, probably the move here. But yeah, this pawn is kind of unstoppable, isn't it? Just it's not much you can do. Maybe sneaky tactics like queen e5, with the idea that if the pawn moves up again, you can play rook queen check and then grab the pawn. You might be able to get your queen, wedge your queen in front of it, but it's not looking too good. This queen just has to come over and you lose. Yeah, okay, so playing d5 is also good. It turns out it was great. Just I fear, my first instinct was, well, why are you giving away this pawn for free? Why not just defend it? But yeah, d5 is actually very good. So takes. This queen went to f3 now. That's never stopping this pawn, unfortunately. D6, queen f6, and this game is over. Yeah, the queen's sacked. There's probably no point looking at this. There's something special going on. We have checkmate. Okay, so yeah, well done to Yonal. It was a decent win. There was a few shaky points in the middle there, like that knight d2 move was obviously a big blunder. Rosanne said it had a great attack going, all these pieces pointing at the king, but she missed her opportunity to really to just win the game. And yeah, tried to get the queen over here when she had a perfectly good option in taking this pawn here. Unfortunately, sometimes you can get a bit one-track minded with your attacks and miss an opportunity when your opponent blunders like that. And yeah, after that, the knight went, and Yonal did not really give Rosanne any chances after that. He did really well. Defended this attack on the king very nicely and made sure he had everything covered. He just made that second big blunder over there with the rook coming up. His idea was great, just needed to chuck the queen in here first and then chuck the rook up, and that would have been a flawless end to the game. So 2 mistakes by Yonal, but lucky for him, Rosanne missed the opportunity to take advantage of those mistakes. Okay, I hope everyone learnt something from this game. It's quite an interesting game, and yeah, I'll hopefully see you all later. Goodbye.